Okay, it's Super Bowl week and welcome to our NFL pod. And once again, I'm here with our UK-based journalist, Conor Perrott, to talk about the Super Bowl. But first of all, Conor, how you got over the Lions' defeat to the 49ers there about 10 days ago?
No, yeah, I'm still not over it there. Still broken my heart there. But no, it was a good run. I wasn't too heartbroken at the end of it. It felt amazing to get to that point. But yeah, it's always going to be disappointing when you sort of blow a lead like they did, and it just unwinds so quickly. It was crazy.
Yeah, by the end of the third quarter, the writing was nearly on the wall. What do you think? What mistakes do you think Detroit made um, in that game, especially in the
Yeah,
second half?
like I say, it was just kind of obviously there was mistakes that went them. I think there was a few drop catches from Josh Reynolds on that fourth down, and then the third down. It was that was tough to see, and I think you're always going to have like mistakes like that, and then you obviously had that Brandon Ayuk catch, which again just felt like the most Lions play ever, where it hit him in the face, and the Gibbs fumble after. And I think the biggest thing was not Lions have had that happen to them, but this year and under Campbell, they've like been able to sort of come back from that and still come back from that adversity. And this game, it didn't happen. It just kept unwinding. More bad things kept happening, more mistakes, and they lost it in the end. But yeah, I think I still. The good thing about this team is, this isn't a one shot. This isn't a Cinderella story. I think they're built for the future. You look at this team; they're still so young. They're all on their rookie deals. They've still got so much developing to do. So it's still a good future to look forward to.
Yeah, they've got some nearly all their best players are very young. Do you think they'll keep the quarterback, Jared Goff?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, Jared Goff. I think he's going into a contract near year next year. So I'm kind of expecting for an extension to happen there, and I got to say I'm for it. I think, like I say, Goff's done everything he could have done for the Lions. He's been there, and when with Ben Johnson looking like he's going to be staying as well. I know Commanders, there's been a lot of stuff with that, isn't there? I think there's even more reason to re-sign him if the OC's returning as well.
You get both your coordinators. Yeah, I think the way Ben Johnson turned down the Commanders certainly didn't go down very well, considering they found out on Twitter. I think they were in the air when the text came in, and they didn't get it until they landed, and by then they'd already found out through social media. So I don't think he will be. They'll be going back to Ben Johnson anytime soon.
No.
But I think you're right. The Lions have their coordinators. They have their team. They've what be interesting to see who they pick in the draft, because there isn't very many weaknesses on the squad. But yeah, they definitely seemed like they're going to be around for a while. I was wondering though why they stopped running the ball in the second quarter when they really had the 49ers defense in trouble in that first half. Like they couldn't seem to stop the run at all. Um,
Yeah.
so
If
where do you
that's
see with the 49ers? What do you think? What do you think their plan is going to be to stop the Kansas City Chiefs or to attack the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend?
Like I say, I think if we're looking at offense, I think that they're going to continue to do it the Shanahan way. I think that they're going to run that ball a lot. I think the Chiefs have throughout the season they weren't the best at stopping the run, and I think the postseason they've been better at it. But there's been a bit weird games. Dolphins were down a lot, and that Bills game was a bit of a shootout. But yeah, I think the 49ers are going to really try and take control of this game. Something they didn't do in the Lions. They let a lead get out to the Lions, and I think the Chiefs are going to look to really control that game, run the ball, sort of dominate time of possession, and like I say, just try and dominate. Really, I feel both lines of scrimmages.
Why do you think the 49ers struggled so much against the Lions from the ball? McCaffrey didn't even break 100 yards, which is very unusual for him.
Yeah, I mean, not to brag, but the Lions are quite a good run defense. It's about the only thing that they
I
did
do, yeah.
good consistently all year. So I think that was the thing. They went out and failed to stop. They went out. They're good at stopping the run, but they can't stop the pass. But yeah, the Chiefs wise, I think they might do a similar thing. They might go all out to stop that run, knowing that they've got a good secondary to maybe match up against Debo and Brandon Ayuk and stuff. But yeah, I think if you're looking at it, the if the 49ers that I think the 49ers run game, how well or how good that goes is going to determine really.
And what about the 49ers defense? The third ranked defense or fourth ranked defense in the league in the NFL regular season, but since the playoffs they've been really dropping a lot of points to their opponents. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're struggling so much on defense in the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's surprisingly it's that D line in a way. It's maybe not performing to the names it has. I mean, it has so many names on there: Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargraves. He was a huge signing last offseason that hasn't really hit. And I think for starters, they're not great against the run. Like I say, they allow teams to run all over them, and I think Chase Young as well maybe is obviously you'll be familiar with him and in the 49ers there he hasn't quite hit it as well as people expected sometimes and yeah, Hargraves has been a disappointment as well. I think their pass rushers they still have it great, and I think if they can get in third and long situations they're there to create pressure and cause havoc, and I think that's what they're going to try and do against Mahomes. But getting into those third and longs is stuff that they haven't really been able to do despite all the talent.
Yeah, Chase Young has certainly been disappointing, and even on some of the plays, like his effort. There was, I think, one of the lines is touchdown. He was chasing back, and then he seemed to just stop, and then he seemed to go again. But he's not working out in San Francisco. I think he's only there till the end of the season. I think he didn't sign a long-term deal, so I think it's very likely that he won't be. This will probably be his last game for the Niners. In terms of Kansas City Chiefs, how impressed were you in terms of the way they handled the Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, I think I spoke a lot about that game about defense, and it was mainly about the Ravens defense, but the Chiefs defense that first half looked incredible. And like I say, and it's sort of like a game of two halves in a way, and then the second half it rotated around a bit. But yeah, that Chiefs defense, they were gunning for Lamar Jackson, they were getting to him, and they were causing him to panic and make mistakes. And like I say, I think that defense actually really it's got them to the Super Bowl now.
Yeah, it has. Definitely during the regular season, it was the defense that were kind of bailing the Chiefs out. Um, and the Chiefs' offense has kind of hit form right when they needed to in the postseason, which was kind of unusual. You don't really see teams, kind of being average enough during the season, then all of a sudden they're on fire. But I suppose they've got so much experience. And Travis Kelce looked as good as ever. I mean, he was huge in that game, especially in the first half. I think he had like 10 catches in the first half. Um, how do you think the 49ers are going to try and match up against Travis Kelce? Because if they can stop him, they'll really take a lot away from Mahomes' passing options.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. Like I say, he's the Chiefs' biggest weapon at the end of the day, bar the quarterback. So they've got a great linebacker core, Fred Warner and Dre. I forget how to say his second name,
Greenlaw.
Dre Greenlaw. They're a
Greenlaw.
great linebacker duo, yeah, and obviously they might use them to match them up. I know they're great pass covering linebackers, so it's never easy to stop Kelce. If it was, then a lot of teams would do it. But yeah, I think it's they definitely have the weapons to at least to give it a good go.
So when you see that the 49ers struggle so much on run defense, I mean, I think most people looking at the game are expecting the Chiefs through Pacheco kind of run the ball down their throat, especially in the first half. Is that what you expect yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, they tried doing that in the Ravens a lot. They really tried getting that run game going. So you can probably expect it again. He's a funny runner. He runs hard and he causes problems. So and like I say, if you get that run game going, that's just going to make things so much easier for Patrick Mahomes, isn't it? And it's going to open up that whole passing game and allow him to be who he is. So it's definitely, like I say, the run game. I feel like it's becoming even more important in today's game. I feel if you can really start dominating in that area, it makes things so much easier for offenses.
Oh, massively. Yeah, when you don't have a decent offensive line, you know about it fairly quickly. Um,
Mm.
so how we've seen how important Pacheco could be on Sunday. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, is do you think if he doesn't have a good game, the 49ers don't have a chance? Do you think it's
Um,
really like him running and keeping Mahomes off the field and just getting those extra yards that he always seems to get? Do you think that is the kind of the number one way that the 49ers are going to attack?
yeah, like I say, he's one of the most dangerous weapons really in the entire league, let alone the 49ers. So he's always going to be the go-to guy. And like I said, if I kind of feels if he has a huge game, and which he normally does a lot of the time, or at least has huge moments in this game, it's gonna be good for the Niners. But I think even if they stop him, the Niners have so many weapons that they can turn to. I know Debo's only going to get healthier. George Kittle, I know he was someone that took that first Super Bowl loss really rough. So I'm sort of expecting him to come out a bit angry and try and, like I say, dominate his way there. So there's just so many weapons on that 49ers offense. I mean, we haven't even talked about the quarterback Purdy. So yeah, I feel you got to stop a lot of people. But the Chiefs defense, I think they've been great, and I think they could be up for it.
Steve Spagnuolo is very good at kind of like tailoring his defense to a particular team or a particular game. But yeah, it's very, very hard, especially if Purdy gets time in the pocket. Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, McCaffrey. I mean, he's got so much weapons. So let's go to prediction time. Who do you think is going to win?
I think it's gonna, like I said, it's always a close one, Super Bowl, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I think they do it again, even in the rematch. I think on paper the 49ers are better, and like I say, on paper I think no one can really match up with the 49ers, maybe bar the Ravens, but they just feel like they have that Man United in them or the Man City at the minute, where they just, no matter what happens at the end of it, they're gonna win, and like I say, they know how to win. They play their best football come the end of the season in the playoffs, and I don't think it matters who is better on paper or the form leading up to it. When they need to win in the big moments, they do it. It feels like the Chiefs do, and I think they do it again. I think they get another Super Bowl, and like I say, keep on dominating this NFL.
Yeah, I've been saying the 49ers all season, preseason, and I'm going to change it up at the very last minute. I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well.
Oh,
Um, I think just the way the 49ers defense has been performing in the playoffs just hasn't been up to it. And if they trail to the Chiefs, it's game over. Like, Mahomes, every time he gets the ball in his hand, he's going to be able to move that ball up the field. And when it comes down to it, and it probably will come down to maybe the last 5 minutes, who do you want to have the ball? It's Mahomes, and I think the Chiefs get it done. And mainly also because of their defense. Their defense, they've got one of the best DBs in terms of, like, they've got two really good cornerbacks, good safeties, decent linebackers, Chris Jones up front. I mean, it's a really good defense, and yeah, I expect the Chiefs to be successful on Sunday. Yeah, I kind of feel bad because I've been going with the 49ers all year, but nah, I think Mahomes and Kelce, they're just playing at such a high level at the moment. It's very, very hard to look against them. And surprisingly, they're the underdogs in the bookies.
yeah,
Why do you
I
think that
haven't even
is?
looked at that. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know that. Gonna have to clearly get on that one.
Yeah, I think it's 2.5 points. So yeah, I think
Mm.
yeah, there's so many bets in Super Bowl week. Yeah, I'm going to roll with McCaffrey, I think, in the betting as well. I think himself and Pacheco are going to have big games. I think both teams are going to look for supremacy in the run game and try and keep the other team off the field from scoring. And I think that's how the game is going to be tried to be played out anyway, especially in the first half. So let's go to the awards. It's awards week in the run up to the Super Bowl, and we may as well have our end of season awards. Like the mid season awards, we can't pick the same player. So
Hmm.
just to make it a bit more interesting, in case we just we end up agreeing too much. So I'll give you this one first. Who is the MVP? Your MVP of the season?
MVP. Oh, I don't know. I feel there are a couple options on this one. I think there's a couple options for a lot of the awards, but this one kind of to me feels like one that's pretty straightforward. And it's Lamar Jackson, the guy who just missed out on the Super Bowl. Though I think all year he's sort of been up there, and I think it's been very up and down. Purdy's been in the conversation, Prescott's been there as well, but to me, Lamar Jackson, I've viewed it all year. I've been hot on the Ravens all year. I felt they were playing great, and I feel Lamar was having a career year to date, and like I say, he's a former MVP. I feel he was throwing the ball better than he ever has been, and he's always so dominant on the ground. So to me, I think Lamar takes his second MVP this year.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I think Lamar's been amazing, but fact I have to come up with somebody else, I'm going to roll with Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen, just in the games I've seen, he's always been really, really outstanding. It's good to see him really back to his best form. The team around him, I don't think are as good as the teams that are in the Super Bowl. He certainly doesn't have a good defense as the 49ers or the Chiefs. And he kind of, I think he's just had an outstanding season. I do expect Lamar to be the MVP this year, but I think Josh Allen's given him a decent run for his money. So, offensive player of the year, and we're not going to include quarterbacks in this one. So, quarterback free offensive player of the year. And actually, I'll give you this one as well. So, who are you picking for offensive player of the year?
I'm gonna go a guy that we've spoken about quite a bit already, Christian McCaffrey. Okay. I think I was sort of leaning towards Tyreek Hill. I think he missed a few games towards the end of the year, and I feel if he probably played in those, he probably breaks Calvin Johnson's all-time record and potentially gets close to 2,000 yards. But yeah, I think McCaffrey's just been he's having his best year today, and he's definitely, I think, shown he's the best running back in the league, and he's even a quality receiver as well. He's been, in my opinion, I think the 49ers best player, and I think he could have been in a conversation for MVP as well if those quarterbacks really did start dying down at the end. So to me, yeah, he's definitely the best offensive player in the year in the league.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill for the reasons you outlined. He's just been the best wide receiver in the league by some distance this year in the NFL, and certainly probably over almost the last decade, for me, has been the best NFL wide receiver. I think he would have also, I agree, he would have broken the 2,000 yards receiving had he played the 17 games. So, yeah, I'll give Tyreek Hill my nod for offensive player of the year. So, defensive player of the year, this is kind of a really tough one. I mean, there's so many candidates. Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Crosby. There's so many brilliant pass rushers in the NFL. Just been brilliant cornerback play. But I'm going to go with TJ Watt. I think he ended up getting the most sacks. I think the Steelers defense really carried that team to the playoffs. And again, he's the leader of the team. He's been very, very consistent. I think he missed a couple of games throughout the season as well. So those stats could have been even higher. But for me, he's been the best defensive player in the NFL this season. Who are you picking, Conor?
Yeah, like I say, there's a good one. There's just so many edge rushers at the minute in this league, and I'm gonna go with. I don't know if he does necessarily deserves it, but I'm gonna go with Max Crosby. I really like him. He plays harder than anyone. I think he's an edge rusher that I would trade a whole load for to have on the other side with Hutchinson. But yeah, I think he goes harder than anyone else, and I think that Raiders team, you could obviously maybe give it to Garrett and Nick Bosa and even Micah Parsons in as well. And I think they're all great players, but Crosby, he's sort of that leaders on the Raiders, and they had a tough start to the season, changed general managers, changed head coaches as well, and it kind of felt like he's a big leader in that group. Sort of turned it around their season a little bit at the end, and I think he was even playing for a crazy injury on the second half of the season that most people would have a season ending for, but he was there still roughing it out and dominating really. So I think he's definitely one of the best players there.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude as well. And yeah, I was listening to him during the week in one of the podcasts, and he was saying just how regimented his life is in terms of like his meal prep, even in the off season, is the same as during the season. He gets up at the same time every day. But yeah, no, what a player. So I'll give you first pick this time. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I think there's a couple here. I think I could be a bit biased and go for a couple of lines, but I'm gonna go for Puka Nacua. Like I say, I think CJ Stroud was obviously a shout, but Puka Nacua, he broke a lot of the records at wide receiver, and I think it was kind of big for them because Cooper Kupp, he was very banged up at the start of the year, and he didn't quite have his year, but Puka Nacua, a day 3 pick, has come out. I know a lot of people were sort of expecting him to have a great year, but no one was expecting him to have a year like this. I think 1,400 receiving yards. He's so tough to bring down as well. He has that bit of Deebo Samuel in him as well, where I feel like he could be used in so many different roles. And I think the Rams have they're scary. You kind of feel like they were on a way down, but they've gotten another great one here. And like I say, a guy that you probably will be fighting for that offensive player of the year in a couple of years, I reckon.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do in the draft as well. Do they keep adding to this offense and make it even more scary? Um,
Mm.
so I will go with CJ Stroud, and for me, CJ Stroud is just he's made the NFL look easy in his rookie year at quarterback. He is going to be a top 5 quarterback probably by the start of next season. Just in terms of his accuracy, his coolness under pressure, his great decision making, and he's made a Texas offense without any really big stars put up a lot of points this season. It'd be interesting to see what happens if he gets, a couple of, I don't know, more explosive wide receivers, maybe even few additions to that offensive line. But he's been really, really outstanding, and I have him back for rookie of the year as well. So I'm hoping that comes in. But yeah, definitely Pep Puka Nacua has been really, really outstanding as well. So if he does get the nod, he will certainly deserve it. Whichever of the two gets it, because they've both been really outstanding.
Yeah.
Okay, defensive rookie of the year. This is a tough one, but I'm going to roll with Jalen Carter. For me, he's been the most eye-catching of the defensive player. I think he had a brilliant season in an Eagles team that started off really well over the first 10 games of the season and kind of really, really trailed off in their last, I think it was eight matches, but he was somebody who kept on leading the team in pass rush. He was, getting double teamed and still getting to the quarterback and putting pressures on. And for me, he's just a really outstanding talent, and he delivered on his promise this season. So for me, I will give the nod to Jalen Carter. What about yourself, Conor? Who are you picking for a rookie defensive player of the year?
Yeah, Carter's a great pick there. I think we all wondered if he would be able to translate it from Georgia, and he has. And I think Will Anderson's another guy that I really like. I feel like I say that Texans rebuild has kind of been so impressive. I never thought they would do that, and he was at sort of the front of that on the defense. But I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna go for a name that we've spoken about a lot throughout the season. It's Brian
Mm.
Branch. He doesn't get the love he deserves. He just plays. He's able to do so much really in that nickel position. He can play safety. He's like a linebacker and a corner in one. He's just amazing really. I can't speak much of it. He gets so many tackles for loss. He's constantly guarding sometimes the number one receiver. And like I say, for a rookie, I never thought I saw him in training camp. He did so well, and like I say, he just gets better and better throughout the year. And he's one I'm really excited for our defense going forward.
Yeah, he can blitz. He hits hard. He's very, very
Hmm.
smart. Gets himself in positions to get interceptions, and he's really kind of stepped up as a leader, even though he's a rookie in that backfield. So, comeback player of the year. Lots of players kind of. For me, there's one standout candidate, and it's a player that I've never really rated that highly, but he's kind of put me in his place this season, and that's Baker Mayfield. I think when he went to the Bucks, I really wasn't expecting it to be a success, but he kind of took leadership of that offense, and they got to the playoffs, and they were competitive throughout the season with almost every game they played. Um, so I think Baker Mayfield, I think he's going to get a big contract. How big it'll be, I don't know, but I'd say it'll probably be around 40 million, and it will be interesting to see how the Bucks can build up the rest of their team, because they also have so did well in the draft and kind of landed a couple of players that have performed well during the season. So I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield for comeback player of the year. What about yourself, Connor? This will be a tough one to come up with someone different.
Yeah, that was he like I say, he did a great season. I'm gonna go for another quarterback, Joe Flacco, who hasn't obviously the old guy on the sofa, and like I say, I think Deshaun Watson obviously went down for the Browns, and I remember when him coming in, I remember seeing like a picture of him flying in on just a normal airline, and people like as he has his little train, and yeah, I don't think anyone would have expected, like I say, a Flacco who's been out of the game now, or at least not been consistently playing for a good couple of years, to step in and did what he did. That the Browns, their defense carried them to a lot of wins, but they had a great regular season. like I say, was it 11 wins they got in the end? And Flacco, he really did. He led that offense well, and obviously he kind of crumbled in the playoffs, and that Texans going through a lot of pick sixes, and the Texans played great to knock him out there. But yeah, I was just so impressed seeing Flacco there come back, and like I say, he looked better than he did when he won a Super Bowl MVP back when he won a Super Bowl. So yeah, it was a bit funny to see really there.
Yeah, it was a great story during the season, and it was good to see a guy like that come back and get the plaudits and get the recognition that he probably didn't get,
Mm-hmm.
for probably the last decade of his career. Do you think he'll still be in the league next season, summer?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be an interesting one. I think he probably definitely at least finds a team now. It kind of feels maybe be a bit like a Ryan Fitzgerald kind of thing.
Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick, that's the one. Yeah. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think he'll find a role with a team. Whether he starts, I don't know. But maybe you pair him with a young rookie. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I hope he does. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he ends up. Um, so I think the last two is just coach of the year and assistant coach of the year. So I'll give you first swing at coach of the year.
Sure. No, I'll let you have coach of the year. I'll let you have coach of the year.
So I'm going to go with D'Amico Ryans.
Mhm.
Again, I think the turnaround that he's made in Texas has been huge. They have a really, really young team. The last 2 years, they ended up as the worst and second worst teams in the NFL. And to go from like the second worst team in the NFL to the playoffs in one season is huge. I think the Texans have drafted very, very well over the last 3 years. I think Nick Caserio has really, after Deshaun Watson left, he's kind of used his picks very, very cleverly. Um, and he kind of really built a young roster that most of the best players in the team are on the rookie deals. Larry Tunsil has been brilliant at left tackle, and I think the Texans are here to stay. I think they're going to be a force. I think they're where the Lions were maybe 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, this up and coming team, they found a quarterback. All they need to do is keep him standing up and give him a few more, just give him a few more uh, targets, or and the defense is coming along really, really nicely as well. If they could add somebody else, well, no, they've actually got a decent pass rush on both sides, so it'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft. But for me, D'Amico Ryan's the turnaround that he's had this year in the Texans. He's my pick for coach of the year. So
Yeah.
Connor, who are you going to pick?
No, like I say, I think D'Amico Ryans was the guy that I would like to pick as well, but I kind of let him go first because my backup is going to be Dan Campbell, so I have an excuse to pick him now. Um, yeah, he's been, like I say, it's kind of a year that, yeah, I don't want to talk about too much, but those both, but like I say, the Lions had a great year, and Campbell really feels like the coach for the future. Since day one, I remember a tight end coach from the Saints. Why are we hiring that? And from the first press conference, he's had me one of my favorite coaches of all time in all sports he's been, and like I say, long may it continue for him, really.
Yeah, he's one of these coaches that has brought the city along with him. I
Mm.
mean, he is to Detroit what Jurgen Klopp is to Liverpool. Like, he's really brought the whole city along this journey. He's very, very personable. He's kind of a guy you really want to play for. And I think it says a lot that both coordinators, especially Ben Johnson, decided to stay with Dan Campbell. They've obviously feel like they've got unfinished business, and they seem to have the team that can go out there and probably do it next year. Like, they're certainly one of the strongest teams in the NFC. They're one of the youngest teams in the NFC, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they add who they'll add in the draft this year. Yeah, Dan Campbell, yeah, certainly has been a brilliant head coach. And so I'll give you this one: the best assistant coach, offense or defense.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go
And
for a guy that. Oh, go on.
I presume it's going to be a Lions assistant coach.
No, no, I'm not going to go Lions. I'm going to go for a
No,
guy that just got a head coaching job actually, and I'm going to go for Mike McDonald, or Mike McDonald, yeah, the Ravens
yeah,
DC, obviously newly Saints head coach. I mean, I remember I first saw him when he was at Michigan. He was Michigan's DC with Harbaugh. I think he was with the Ravens before then, and went Michigan. And I remember that defense. That was the year where sort of the Aiden Hutchinson year. I think the first year they beat Ohio State, and like I say, that defense was great there. Then he got to the Ravens, went back there with the other brother, and that's what I mean. The Ravens defense kind of feels like it's been the best defense all year. He's so good with the personnel there. Like I say, getting the best out of guys like Kyle Hamilton, finding roles for all these people. Even Patrick Queen, he really didn't. it really looked like they were going to move off him at one point, and he finds a role for these players, and that's important. And like I said, I think the Seattle, they've got a good one there, and I think that they've got defensive stars there as well. And you're gonna, I think you could see maybe a sort of a. It kind of feels like that's just a defensive team, and I think a Legion of Boom may be coming back over there in Seattle. So to me, yeah, he's been the assistant of the year.
And so I'm going to go with Ben Johnson. I just think he's been really, really outstanding since he's become the OC over in Detroit. I think he's called really good games, especially in the playoffs. I mean, he was really destroying the 49ers there in the championship game. So I think it's inevitable that he's going to end up being a head coach. He just didn't want to come to Washington.
I was going to say, do you kind of... Sorry, do you feel like do you take that personally with him doing that at all? Or do you think he might have ruined maybe further opportunities with the way you went about it?
No, I don't think further opportunities. I think he's ruined his opportunity at Washington, which might be available again next year. I'm not very happy with the Dan Quinn hire. I don't know, just even his press conference, he was trying to like be a bit motivational, and a lot of those words were just kind of cliches coming out. And he kept on looking down at a piece of paper of the little points he was making. He couldn't even remember what he was going to say. And then the hire of Cliff Kingsbury, I'm not too enamored about either. I'm doing a bit of research there during the week, and since Cliff Kingsbury went to USC, Caleb Williams, I think he had like 453 snaps, and 447 were out of the shotgun. So it looks like Washington's going to be playing with a shotgun quarterback. And if Caleb Williams falls to them, or if they trade up, fair enough. But if it isn't, are they going to draft Drake May? Possibly not, because he won't fit into that system. Cliff Kingsbury turned up and said the most important thing is the running game. But can you have a running game if you're out of shotgun all the time? Like, I mean, you're not starting like an extra 3 or 4 yards back. I don't know. For me, I'm not convinced that this is going to be the long-term pair in Washington, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're on the lookout for another head coach this time next year.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not like, when I heard Dan Quinn was, usually I'm quite an optimistic person, but when I heard Dan Quinn was head coach, I was like, okay, he's had a really good season with the Cowboys, and the players speak well of him, but I don't know, he's no Dan Campbell, put it that way. And I think that's what Washington need. They need somebody with a really big personality to kind of just bring the whole show on the road. But one of the things, maybe he plays when Dan Campbell was with the Cowboys and Seattle, played a lot of zone defense, and I think we probably have the players to play a lot of zones. Like, we have a lot of long corners similar to what he had in Seattle, and if you can work with them, because our defense is very poor, hopefully, I expect it to get a little bit better. So we'll see how it goes. But at the moment, I'm not too happy with it.
Yeah, he was sort of a big candidate, and I was really surprised he didn't get a job last year. I think he sort of pulled himself out of the running there. And I mean, the Cowboys' defense has been great since he's been there. But yeah, I think it's how you sort of first impressions really in that press conference. And if he didn't set the world alight, it's always gonna maybe not be as exciting as it could be.
And the one advantage he has is expectations are really low. If he does anything, if he gets 8 wins, we'd be delighted. He's not going somewhere where he's expected to get to the playoffs and challenge for the Super Bowl. This is a massive rebuild, and yeah, maybe if he'd brought in a different offensive coordinator, I'd probably be a little bit happier about it. But I don't remember Cliff Kingsbury, being this offensive genius in Arizona.
Nice.
So yeah, that's probably why if you'd brought in some young person I'd never even heard of, I'd probably be more excited. But we'll see how it goes. Or even if we'd kept Eric Bieniemy, kind of like what he did in Washington for the first half of the season, until the quarterback got a bit too banged up in the offensive line. Were like turnstiles. I mean, they just couldn't keep the pressure off him. But I suppose that's a story for another day. Conor, which channel are you going to watch the Super Bowl on? Are you going to watch it on Sky Sports? Or are you going to watch it on BBC?
I'm not too sure. That's a good question. I actually kind of been liking Sky Sports coverage as of late. I know they brought in Dominic and Sue in there. I feel like I say
Mm.
they drop some nice stuff there. But yeah, I think maybe switch back and forward. See who's doing the best.
Yeah, the only thing about the BBC is there's no ads. So yeah, I enjoyed the Sky Sports coverage as well. And Dominic Sue was, it was interesting to listen to. Jay Bell is always he's always a good personality to listen to. And yeah, no, they have a good crew there. Yeah, but I don't know what I'm going to do either. But I'll talk to you
Enjoy
about
the
it next
game.
week.
That's what you do.
I will. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, see you, Connor.
See you later.